This is a trilogy of films. I was under the assumption that it was a Nazi zombie movie. I had previously actually seen this movie and clearly wasn't paying as good of attention as I thought I was last time. This is a Nazi ghost movie, a little bit more like something like The Keep. Now, this movie is about a man who hires a group of mercenaries to take him into a dangerous part of the country. He says that he's going out there to look at land, real estate, something, to buy something. When they get out there, they realize that he's full of shit and there's more sinister things at play for what he's looking for. This movie has Ray Stevenson in it and Richard Brake. Ray Stevenson was the Punisher in Punisher Warzone, which I think is a fantastically, ridiculously over the top, gory, hilarious, awesome movie. It gets hated on like crazy, and I think people are crazy. It's awesome. Richard Brake is mostly known for his work as the guy who killed Bruce Wayne's parents in Batman Begins. I think he's a fantastic actor. He's got a great creep factor to him. I wish they would have utilized him a little bit more in Rob Zombie's 31, which I thought was a pretty terrible film. I really liked his look in it. I think he plays Death Head, if I remember correctly. His opening monologue in that is excellent. I just think he's a great presence in a film, and there is no exception to that here. He is the standout of this film for me. He's yet again another psychopath, another, nutbag who goes out and kills everybody. So, no stretch for him here, but still, always like it. This movie has an interesting color palette to it in the sense that it has pretty much no color. I'm guessing that was obviously intentional. It almost looks like it almost hurts the film in a way. Like I would like to see a Blu-ray of it to maybe see if it cleans it up a little bit, because the DVD copy, the color grading, they washed the color out, so it's like all very drab and dreary and like super like brown tones. There's like literally no color in the film at all. It's almost closer to black and white than it is color. And I think that they were trying to, give it this dreary tone, take all the happiness and feelings or out of the picture. And it does kind of accomplish that, but unfortunately it does kind of make it hard to see what's going on at times. So I thought that was a bummer. I like the isolation, the isolated feeling from the characters when they get where they're going. It's definitely very much a one location kind of film at that point down in this outpost. And you very much feel like they are very far from any kind of help or getting away from it to run or anything like that. So I think they did a good job on that. Another thing that I liked in this movie was that it reminded me of Dog Soldiers more than anything. It's very, very similar to Dog Soldiers. A bunch of soldiers go out, they get attacked by unearthly presence, and they fight to the death to save them off. So I think that it's a lot like that. It has a lot of it's trying to be a little bit like Predator in a way. Now, it's nowhere near as good as Predator, but I think Predator is one of the greatest films ever made. So I wasn't expecting it to be Predator. I would say it's close to Dog Soldiers. I think Dog Soldiers is a little better, and the reason that Dog Soldiers is better because Dog Soldiers has gore, a decent amount of it, and this movie unfortunately is void of almost any at all. Now there's plenty of deaths, and I think some of the deaths are cool. There's some decent kills. The Nazi ghosts have a few decent kills. They staged the bodies in one scene in a cool way, something like that. But really, it is void of gore, which was a shame. They're also able to manipulate the elements, so they can kind of suck the light out of areas so that they can't be seen and disappear basically. I thought that was neat. I thought that was a unique thing, and that gives a spin on it because instead of being Nazi zombies like something like Dead Snow and the countless other War of the Dead. Yeah, there's so many Nazi zombie movies out there. Who would have thought that'd become such a subgenre? But man, there's a whole laundry list of them out there. This changes it up and makes it more of a supernatural thing. And because they can control the elements, it definitely gives a much different feel. It doesn't feel like a zombie movie at all. And another thing I really liked was the look of the Nazis. I thought that they just had this really interesting, unique look to them. Not exactly sure how I would describe it. So you kind of just have to see it. I really don't have an apt description for them at the moment. They almost look mummified with nope, not gonna try. Now, I don't think that this movie's amazing by any means. I think it's a good action horror film. It's definitely more on the action side, but it has enough horror in it to be considered a horror film for sure. But this is more of if you've ever seen Dog Soldiers, it's a lot like that. I think Dog Soldiers is, as I said, is a little bit better, but this one is, I don't want to use the word fun because it's not a super fun movie. It's very dreary, very drob. There's almost zero humor in it. I think I laughed like one time. Everything's very serious. It's not trying to be silly. That's another thing, is that a lot of these kinds of movies are pretty self-aware that their subject matter is a little bit more silly, and they went very serious with this. I remember seeing another really awesome Nazi horror film called The Devil's Rock, which is better than this. That's an excellent movie, I thought. That one's totally serious as well. You don't see a ton of these be serious, but this is definitely one. I would definitely check it out. I'm looking forward to watching the next two, Black Sun and Rise of Spetsva, I think is how you say that. The reason I checked this out is I owned I actually owned all three. I just hadn't watched them. I got them for super cheap, didn't throw them on, and then I got a horror pack, and part 3 was in there on Blu-ray, so it kind of just prompted me to do this. So I'm going to check out the other two and get back to you on those. But this is one that I would recommend if you really like action horror.